David, now that you've had
Dave.
a day to kind of reflect on the season, what do you take away from what you guys did as a group and the progress you made, I guess?
Yeah, it's still tough, obviously. I think the first thing that comes up is just the improvement in so many ways, and how proud I am for a lot of the guys in the room, and especially the young guys, honestly, to see their development, their attitude evolving, and kind of the way that we need to go moving forward. And it's just natural progression, but that needs to happen at some point. Even Simon coming up, honestly, and looking like he's, for the most part, played the whole year. And I'm sure on the outside you can say, why not sooner? But at the same time, I think all the steps that he's done before, throughout the year or last year, prepared him to be more ready for this moment.
What needs to happen for this team to take the next step?
I mean, I thought we were right there. I think in March was a very disappointing month. But I think you have to look back a little bit sooner and felt like we grabbed it at certain times of the year, but we have to be a little bit more consistent of our team game. And we talked about team aspect, being selfless, team game, all that stuff, all the good words. Later part of the season, I think those words, I hope they come back a little bit sooner next year. I hope they come from the start. And we have to understand every point matter, like literally it does. And yeah, I think that's also the exciting part. Talking with Newsy earlier, I guess I mentioned something last year to him that he remembered, and I told him something like, teams don't really improve, let's say like 20 points in a year, and I think we improved maybe 11 from last year that he was mentioning, and he just remembered how I was trying to win, even like pushing to win games even last year, late when we were done, all that stuff, and that was kind of the reason. And I believe the same next year. Like, I don't think it gets easier from here. I think it gets harder, honestly. It really does. You got teams that are on the outside right now that are young, that are promising, really good teams that were, so to speak, supposed to be ahead of us last year when we were talking at this point. And not that I disagreed, but I did, I guess, to a point last year when we talked. And, yeah, I think they'll be right back in the picture trying to push us down.
A lot like a guy who wants to re-sign here right now.
Is that?
The way your tone, your body language, talking a lot like
Yeah.
someone who wants to get.
No, I like it here. I think it's a pretty special place. Just like in my message yesterday, it's this building was the best this year. Every single comeback we had there was a reason why we had them, and we just kind of felt their support. The fans were incredible. The city in general, I think for me, my family really enjoy it here. And there's no reason at this point to think about anywhere else, anything else. I hope it works out.
Your reps talk to Steve yet, David? I mean, have you guys got the ball rolling?
There's always conversation, but this is something I think that I really respect the organization. I respect Steve, and that's kind of all I'm going to say for now, yeah.
You've grown into a leadership role over your career. How have you seen maybe some of the younger guys here kind of take that step this season?
No, it's awesome. You can... I mean, letters or any of that stuff doesn't matter if you're going to be a leader or not. And I think you see the way Mo and Ray especially evolved over the years. Young players, I mean, there's no one like him. The way he blocks shots, his attitude going into every game, physical, wanting those matchups night after night. And honestly, some of the blocks, like, fans don't realize, but he'll do it when we're up 4-1 with a minute left. And maybe some fans would say, well, maybe don't do that and break a foot or something at this point. But that's just him. He's all in. He's always invested. Doesn't go away from any of that stuff. And then Razor, when the games got bigger, he got bigger. He got better every single night. And that's what you want to see from guys. Can you elevate your game at the right time? And I think even on a personal level, a little bit of a tougher start, I would say, just kind of different power play units to start. I've been on the half wall for most part of my last 5 years, starting out front, kind of bounce around different spots, and I was glad that I was able to elevate my game in the latter part of the season. And again, I think a lot of guys did that. It was great to see.
You expressed concern during the winning streak that you didn't really like the way you guys were playing, and then came that skid. What did you see during the losing skid? Because you just said every point matters, and that one, it's hard not to look at that.
Yeah, and I think I was not. There was not many guys saying the same thing than me, I would say at the time, but I felt like even during the sixth game, we were trying to outscore our problem too much, our problems, our mistakes. And there are mistakes every game. I'm not saying there isn't, but just valuing every single puck. And we saw it, how important they were. Every single mistake were bigger at the end of the year, but they are the same throughout the whole year. It's just sometimes you're able to move on a little bit quicker, but I do think that's the mentality that we, I think, in my opinion, have to have a little bit sooner. And it wears on guys. Like, it's hard to play 82 games and be extremely physical, fully invested in the team aspect. I think when you're young too, like you think when you do that, you give away some offense, you give away other things, but hey, that's what it takes sometimes to be a winning team too. And I actually don't believe that. I said that about Razor about last game. I look at him like he plays the right way all the time, and he was able to elevate through that, playing the right way, scoring more, and didn't give up anything the other way.
Eric and the coaching staff kind of grew from last season to this season too. I mean,
Yeah.
the experience and all that.
Yeah, for sure. Everyone did. I think it's pretty incredible. Just the 2 years I've been, I feel like we've made so many steps forward in many regards. And I think Newsy was definitely a lot more comfortable with different things behind the bench. I think our leadership group, we're pushing. We're trying to get better as well. And I felt like our relationship as a whole, the staff, everyone was really good.
You know, a lot of the top teams are very hard to play against, and Florida comes to mind. I mean, did you see from this team steps in that area
Yeah.
of just being more kind of abrasive and tougher to play against? And how much do you think?
Yeah, I think that we can do that more for sure, though. That's something where we have to have an identity as a team that you're tough to play against, and I don't really expect that to always come from the top six lineup. Usually, your skill guys, all that stuff, you have to be hard to play against. But sometimes you have to, at bottom six, you have to be really physical. You have to create an identity. You see some of the teams that won Stanley Cups recently, they could never get over the hump until they got those glue guys, or those guys that play the right way and create that momentum. Sometimes that maybe the building needs it. Maybe something the crowd's dead for whatever reason. Your fourth line goes on the ice, third line goes on the ice, create momentum, plays physical, gets everyone into it, and next thing you know, your first line goes out there, and whether it's from a power play that they created, or they go out there and they feed off the crowd, off the energy from the boys, and they score a big goal.
Talked about kind of the Detroit area. I think this was your fifth NHL organization.
Yes.
Like for you
No.
No. But like, what about for you and like the family in the 2 years here? Just kind of getting this to feel like home and everything like that.
Yeah, it's I think it's the closest city that I played to home to. It's like 10-hour drive. I think that's something I really enjoyed. I don't know, for some reason my parents are driving in right now, and they don't like flying as much, and it's just easier for them, easier for even to get back in the summer, little things like that. But it just feels like a little bit more like home in the sense of the temperature, all that stuff, the 4 seasons that we have here. I don't know, like maybe because my kids get older now, they start with the friends making routes more, and it's a little bit tougher. I was saying that about the to Copper and a couple other guys about the picture I posted yesterday. Just it's almost like I don't play for myself anymore. You play for your family, and my kids, I play through them, what their experience is. And even hearing my son coming from school today wanting to come to the last home game so bad. Not only we're playing Montreal, it's in his mind his home team, because he's from Quebec just like I am, but he's big time Red Wings fan, and he wanted us to beat them badly, and I'm glad we came through for him. But again, disappointing we didn't get that last point there.
And if piggybacking off of that, you had a few Montreal natives score in the game.
Yeah.
Bono, yourself,
Yeah.
and Sprong. How cool is that?
That's cool. That's funny. I didn't think about it until you just mentioned it, but those guys certainly played a great game up there. They provide momentum for us. That's exactly what I meant. Didn't have as much minutes as other guys, but I thought Joe really played well in that last game. And it's always special when you play your hometown for me, it's been 17 years, and I still can't shake off the nerves before that game to just go about a normal game. You play all these games in your career, and somehow that one I can't shake off still. So it's pretty special.
And like for you to, as a dad, to have your kids kind of actually know and see your career, because a lot of guys, whether it's timing of career or life or whatever, might not get that. What's that been like for you?
Well, I think they're probably a few months or a year away from being they're my biggest fans to being my biggest critique, and they're gonna start. My son's 8, and I just remember, it's funny, as you were talking, it popped in my head. Keith Kachuk in his last few years, Matthew and Brady were always ripping him for everything. You're this, you're that. Can't play hockey, but he had 1,000 game, 500 goals, one of the best American-born players to play. But I just can sense that it's coming from my son pretty soon.
Yeah, like, oh, that was a bad night tonight. I mean,
He's not there yet, but it's coming. Trust me. There's a few things that he's already mentioned that I'm in the car, and I'm like, "What'd you say?" And he repeats it. I'm like, "All right." Like it's coming to an end for me here pretty soon. As far as them being my biggest fan, they'll obviously be that, but I do enjoy having those little conversations with them, and like you said, for them to remember what I'm doing right now and more, it's pretty awesome.
I remember Jimmy Howard's kids wearing 71 for Dylan Larkin. Are you still a
So-
player, or?
Yeah, he had 27, and he switched back to 57 now for spring hockey. So I had JT in there. Every time they don't have school, I'll bring Mason around the locker room in the morning, and JT offered him a PlayStation to change his number to 37, and he still went to 57. I give him a lot of credit. That was a pretty cool little moment.
Thank you.
Right.
Thanks, David.